I've always been skeptical of horror stories on the internet. They're too polished, too scripted. Real fear isn't cinematic. It's messy, confusing, and slow burning. That's how it was for me. I didn't realize I was in danger until I was in too deep. And by the time I figured it out, the only way out was to leave everything behind. This started 2 years ago, after my girlfriend and I broke up, and I had to move out of our shared apartment in Boston. Rent is hell out here, so I turned to Craigslist, the place everyone warns you not to use unless you want a stalker, a scam, or worse. But I was desperate. That's when I found Eric. Eric's ad was unusually neat. No grammar issues, no weird phrasing. Just, room available in 2BR apartment in Brighton, $750 per month. Quiet, clean, respectful roommate only. Must be okay with night shifts. I emailed, and he responded within 10 minutes. He said he worked nights as a security guard, so I'd have the place to myself most evenings. We met the next day at a cafe. He was about 30, soft-spoken, kind of pale, but polite and very clean-cut. The type you'd expect to see volunteering at a library, not creeping around Craigslist. He said he'd lived in the apartment for over 5 years and was just looking to offset rent. No wild parties, no pets, no smoking. It all sounded too perfect. But again, I was desperate. I moved in that Friday. The apartment was dated, sure. That ugly green carpet, yellowing blinds, creaky plumbing, but nothing alarming. Eric's room was at the end of the hallway. Mine was across from the bathroom. The place was tidy and smelled faintly of lavender and bleach. At first, I figured he was just a neat freak. Then I started noticing the locks. Eric had a keyed lock on his bedroom door, not unusual. But he also had one on the hallway closet, the linen cabinet, and even the utility room. Not just cheap padlocks, serious deadbolts. When I asked, he said he stored expensive electronics and wanted to be careful. Seemed weird, but I shrugged it off. He rarely left his room when he was home. Sometimes, I'd hear faint music or murmured talking through his door, but he never had guests. About 3 weeks in, I started waking up at 3 a.m. almost every night, like clockwork. No noise, no nightmares, just sudden, full-body alertness. And when I sat up in bed, I always had the same feeling, like someone was watching me. I told myself it was just stress. New apartment, adjusting to a breakup, all that. But then things started to shift. I'd find my door slightly open in the morning when I was sure I'd closed it. Food I'd left in the fridge would be gone, even though Eric swore he never touched my stuff. My laundry detergent would move shelves. I began marking the bottle cap position, and every few days it would be turned. I confronted Eric one night. He looked genuinely surprised and apologetic. Said maybe he grabbed the wrong thing by accident. He offered to buy more groceries to make up for it. I wanted to believe him. The first real red flag was the smell. It was subtle at first, a faint metallic scent that came and went, always strongest in the hallway near his room. I assumed it was the plumbing, or maybe a dead mouse in the walls. But it got worse. One night, while Eric was at work, I followed the scent to the base of the hallway closet. There was a tiny crack beneath the door, and from that space leaked something like a coppery, rotting odor mixed with cleaning chemicals. I almost vomited. I texted Eric. No reply. That's when I decided to do something I now regret more than anything. I picked the lock. I had zero experience, but I found a cheap lock-picking kit online and watched a few tutorials. It took me 4 nights of practice to get it open. What I found inside still gives me nightmares. The closet wasn't full of electronics. It was lined with shelves containing jars, dozens of them. Each jar was sealed and labeled. Some were filled with a dark red liquid, others with hair, fingernails, even teeth. I remember one label clearly. S. Brooks, October 14th, 2019. There were photos too. Polaroids. Some of people sleeping, some showing other things. Unconscious bodies. Marks on skin. I recognized at least one of the faces. A woman I'd seen on a missing persons flyer at the grocery store. In the back corner was a large black duffel bag. Inside it were scalpels, gloves, zip ties, and what looked like a blood-stained cloth. I backed out of the closet and relocked it, hands shaking. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I called the police. But by the time they arrived, the closet was empty. Eric stood behind them, arms folded, calm as ever. "I told you I store electronics," he said. "I just moved them to my friend's place. I didn't expect my roommate to break in." I tried to tell the cops what I saw, the jars, the photos, but with nothing to show them, I came off like a lunatic. They asked if I wanted to file charges for the lock-picking. Eric said he wouldn't press if I apologized and promised to move out. I didn't have a choice. I left that afternoon and spent the next 3 weeks couch surfing with friends. But the story doesn't end there. A month later, a friend sent me a link to a local news article. Eric had been arrested. The landlord had entered the unit after receiving complaints about a foul odor. In the crawl space beneath the floorboards, they found what I saw in that closet, and more. Jars, bones, teeth, ID cards. One of the victims was confirmed to be the woman from the flyer. Eric had worked night shifts at 3 different hospitals under false names. They believed he was using his access to target vulnerable patients, drugging them, sometimes worse. He kept souvenirs. They found a journal in the closet. It mentioned me. He'd written about watching me sleep, about testing my responses by moving objects, taking food. Promising subject, one entry said, "Won't report unless pushed." That was 2 years ago. Eric's awaiting trial, and they say he'll never get out. But that doesn't help me sleep any better. I still wake up at 3 a.m. Sometimes I dream about jars lining my closet, or a soft knock on my door, or worse, a key turning in the lock.